The warm, heavy air of Miami hit me like a gentle, humid hug the moment I stepped off the jet bridge. It was a stark contrast to the crisp, late spring chill I'd left behind in New York. My mind was already picturing sandy beaches, the relentless Florida sun, and the salty spray of the ocean. This was it, my long-awaited, meticulously planned vacation. The flight had been unremarkable, a blur of tiny peanuts and overpriced drinks, save for one detail that had subtly gnawed at me. Just before we'd pushed back from the gate at LaGuardia, I'd heard it, a faint, almost imperceptible, whimpering sound coming from the underbelly of the plane, from the cargo hold. I'd dismissed it then, attributing it to rattling luggage or some mechanical anomaly, but the sound had been distinct, a low, guttural lament that lingered just at the edge of my consciousness. Now, as the airplane taxied towards the gate at Miami International Airport, that subtle unease began to grow. The whimpering, previously lost in the drone of the engines, seemed to intensify. It wasn't the cry of a child, nor the groan of machinery. It was something more raw, more animalistic. As the seatbelt sign finally flickered off and the cabin doors hissed open, a surge of passengers, eager to escape the confines of the aircraft, pushed towards the exit. But I found myself hesitating, a strange knot forming in my stomach. Something felt wrong. The whimpering, though still muffled, was persistent. It felt urgent. I watched as the last few passengers hurried past me, their faces alight with the anticipation of their destinations. My own impatience for the beach had faded, replaced by an inexplicable curiosity, almost a sense of responsibility. I rose from my seat and approached Maria, one of the flight attendants, who was meticulously gathering discarded blankets and magazines. Her smile was practiced, her eyes tired. "Excuse me, Maria," I began, trying to sound casual, but my voice held an edge of concern. "I know this might sound a bit odd, but during the flight, especially during takeoff and now, I kept hearing a noise from the cargo area, like a crying sound. It's pretty distinct now, actually." Maria paused, her hand hovering over a discarded newspaper, her brow furrowed slightly. "A crying sound, sir," she repeated, her professional demeanor wavering for a split second. "We usually don't have anything like that down there. Baggage only." "I know," I insisted, "but it's not mechanical. It sounds like an animal, a dog perhaps. It's distressed." My conviction must have shown in my eyes, because her initial skepticism softened into a look of genuine concern. She glanced towards the front of the plane, then back at me. "All right, sir," she said, her voice dropping to a more serious tone. "Let me check with the ground crew. Sometimes, in rare cases, live cargo can be redirected without our immediate knowledge." She picked up her radio, her lips moving in a low, urgent conversation. The minutes that followed felt like an eternity. I stood awkwardly in the galley, watching the ground crew begin to hook up the external power and air conditioning to the aircraft. Then Maria returned, her face a shade paler than before. Her usual composed expression was replaced by a look of genuine alarm. "Sir," she whispered, her voice tight, "you were absolutely right. There's a dog in the cargo hold, a golden retriever. Apparently, there's been some kind of mix-up in the routing. The ground crew is saying he's highly agitated." My heart sank. A dog, alone, and clearly in distress. The thought of that beautiful creature trapped, confused, and probably terrified in the dark, noisy confines of the cargo hold filled me with a sudden, overwhelming empathy. The air in the cargo area was thick, a potent cocktail of jet fuel, hot asphalt, and something else, a metallic, almost fear-tinged scent that made my nose wrinkle. The ground crew, a cluster of burly men in bright safety vests, were already gathered around a large, sturdy transport crate. Their faces, usually impassive, were etched with a mixture of frustration and concern. The clamor of luggage being offloaded, The shrill whine of tugs and the distant roar of other aircraft created a chaotic symphony, yet the sound emanating from the crate cut through it all. A raw, desperate howling, punctuated by sharp barks and the violent thud of a body hitting the plastic walls. "He's been like this for hours, sir," one of the crew members, a grizzled man named Dave, said to me, wiping sweat from his brow. Poor guy, we tried talking to him, giving him water through the grate, but he's just too worked up. The owner's been contacted, but he's in a total panic. I knelt, ignoring the grease and grime on the tarmac. Peering through the narrow grate of the crate, my heart clenched. Inside, a magnificent golden retriever, a large male with a thick, beautiful coat, was a frantic bundle of fear and agitation. His golden fur was matted in places, clinging to his trembling body. His eyes, wide and terrified, darted around wildly, reflecting the dim light of the cargo bay. He was panting heavily, his tongue lolling, and the faint, acrid smell of urine and something fouler confirmed he'd been unable to relieve himself for a long time. The crate, clearly designed for smaller breeds, was barely large enough for him to turn around. He looked cramped, uncomfortable, and utterly miserable. "Hey there, buddy," I murmured, my voice soft, trying to project calm into the maelstrom of his fear. "It's okay, boy. You're going to be all right. We're getting you out of here." I kept my tone low, soothing, repeating comforting phrases. His frantic barks slowly subsided into a low, mournful whimper, his eyes fixed on mine. There was a raw vulnerability in his gaze that tugged at my heart. I remembered my own childhood dog and how a gentle voice could calm him. I slowly extended my hand, my fingers carefully reaching through a small opening in the crate door, avoiding direct eye contact that might seem aggressive. He hesitated, his wet nose twitching, sniffing the air around my fingers. Then, cautiously, almost imperceptibly, he nudged his nose against my hand. It was a fleeting touch, a tiny, fragile bridge built across the chasm of his fear, but it was enough. I kept talking, my voice a steady presence in the loud, disorienting environment. Good boy, I repeated, feeling a powerful sense of connection forming. He wasn't just scared, he was suffering from the oppressive heat of the cargo hold and the prolonged lack of proper care. "Can we open it?" I asked Dave, keeping my voice even. He looked at me, then at the agitated dog, a flicker of doubt in his eyes. "He's pretty worked up, sir, might bite, and we don't have the owner's permission to just release him." "He won't," I stated, a strange, unwavering certainty filling me. "He's not aggressive. He's just terrified. We need to get him out of that box." I explained my previous experience with animals, how a gentle approach could often calm a distressed creature. Dave, seeing the dog's focus on me and the tentative trust he was showing, seemed to waver. After a quick radio call to his supervisor, he gave a reluctant nod. With careful coordination, Dave and another crew member worked to unlatch the heavy metal door. The dog, instead of bolting out in a frenzy, slowly, cautiously, emerged from the cramped confines of the crate. He stretched his massive body, shaking himself off, a visible shudder passing through his frame as if shedding layers of discomfort. He looked directly at me, his intelligent eyes no longer wide with terror, but with a cautious curiosity. Then, almost imperceptibly, his tail gave a tentative, gentle wag. It was a tiny gesture, but it spoke volumes. I offered him some water from a bottle I had in my backpack, and he drank eagerly, lapping up the cool liquid as if it were ambrosia. He was clearly exhausted, but the relief on his face was palpable. Just as the golden retriever, now a little calmer, was finishing the last drops of water, a figure materialized at the edge of the cargo area, striding purposefully towards us. He was a man in his late 50s, impeccably dressed in linen shorts and a crisp polo shirt, but his face was etched with a profound, almost desperate worry. His hair was disheveled, and his eyes darted around frantically until they landed on the dog. "Chief!" he exclaimed, his voice hoarse with raw emotion, a mixture of relief and panic. The dog, hearing his name, instantly perked up. All the tension in his body seemed to melt away. He gave a joyful bark, a sound entirely different from the mournful cries I'd heard earlier, and bounded towards the man, burying his massive head against his leg, whimpering with sheer joy. It was a reunion charged with intense emotion, a powerful testament to the bond between them. This was the owner. The man, clearly affluent and radiating an aura of quiet authority, knelt to embrace his dog, his hands stroking Chief's fur, as if to reassure himself that this was real. I could see the sheen of unshed tears in his eyes as he murmured loving words to his loyal companion. After a long moment he finally stood up, his gaze sweeping over the ground crew, then settling on me, a profound gratitude radiating from his features. You were with him?" he asked, his voice still trembling with residual emotion. I explained what had happened, how I'd heard Chief's cries from inside the plane, my insistence on checking, and how we'd managed to get him out of the crate. I spoke simply, recounting the facts without embellishment. But Richard, for that was his name, as I would soon learn, listened intently, his eyes never leaving mine, absorbing every detail. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, extending his hand, his grip firm and sincere. "My name is Richard. Chief is my best friend, my shadow. He was supposed to be on a direct flight to my beach resort in the Keys. There was a terrible mix-up with the airline's ground handling in New York. If it wasn't for you, hearing him, speaking up, I don't know what would have happened to him in this heat, trapped like that for so many hours." His voice trailed off, a shudder passing through him at the thought. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a thick wad of bills, extending it towards me. "Please," he insisted, his eyes earnest, "this is the least I can do." I politely but firmly pushed his hand back. "No, Mr. Richard, it's really not necessary," I said, meeting his gaze. "I just did what anyone would do. I couldn't just stand by and let him suffer. My conscience wouldn't allow me to accept money for simply being empathetic." Richard looked at me, a thoughtful, almost appraising expression on his face. He seemed to understand my refusal, not as false modesty, but as genuine integrity. "Please," he insisted again, his voice softer but his conviction unwavering. "Let me do something for you. You saved my dog. That means everything to me. He's family." He then reached into his other pocket and pulled out a small, elegant key card, similar to those used in high-end hotels, along with a crisp, embossed business card. "This," he said, handing them to me, "is the key to my private beach resort in the Florida Keys. The address is on the card. Consider it yours for a week. All expenses paid. My staff will take care of everything. Food, activities, whatever you need. Just tell them you're a guest of Richard's. Please, I insist. It's the only way I can truly express my gratitude." I was utterly stunned. A private beach resort for a week, all expenses paid? My mouth felt dry. It felt surreal, like a scene ripped from a movie. My modest vacation plans, which involved a cramped hotel room and packing my own sandwiches, had just been obliterated by an act of unexpected, overwhelming generosity. But the sincerity in Richard's eyes, the profound relief now mingled with genuine appreciation, was undeniable. He wasn't just being polite. He genuinely wanted to repay me. Are you serious?" I managed to stammer, barely believing my ears. "Never been more serious," he replied, a genuine warm smile finally gracing his face, a stark contrast to the worry he'd carried moments before. He placed a hand on my shoulder, his grip firm. "Go. Enjoy your vacation. You've earned it. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart for looking out for Chief." With a final pat on the Chief's head, he turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, keys in hand, in a state of delighted disbelief. My carefully planned, budget-friendly vacation had been utterly transformed. The beach resort, nestled on a secluded stretch of the Florida Keys, was beyond anything I could have imagined. As I drove through the gate and saw the sprawling, meticulously manicured grounds, with swaying palm trees and vibrant bougainvillea, I felt a sense of awe. The main building, an elegant structure of white stucco and coral, overlooked a private, pristine, white sand beach. The water, a kaleidoscopic blend of turquoise, emerald, and azure, sparkled under the brilliant Florida sun, inviting and utterly serene. My villa was a dream, spacious and airy, with floor-to-ceiling windows that offered panoramic views of the ocean. There was a private plunge pool on the patio, perfect for a refreshing dip, and the interior was tastefully decorated with local art and plush furnishings. The bed was so comfortable, I felt like I was sleeping on clouds. It was pure, unadulterated luxury. The staff, having been clearly informed by Richard, treated me not just as a guest, but as a cherished friend of the owner. They were discreet, attentive, and incredibly kind. Fresh tropical fruit platters appeared magically in my villa each morning, and dinners by the ocean were exquisite, featuring freshly caught seafood prepared to perfection. I spent my days in a blissful rhythm of swimming in the warm, clear waters, lounging by the pool with a good book, and taking long, contemplative walks along the deserted beach. Each sunset was a breathtaking spectacle, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple, reflecting like liquid fire on the calm ocean. Surface. Often, as I walked, I thought about Chief, the magnificent golden retriever, and his owner, Richard. I pictured their joyful reunion, the pure, unadulterated relief on Richard's face. It wasn't just the sheer luxury of the resort that amazed me. It was the profound generosity, the unexpected depth of gratitude that had led to this. It was a powerful reminder of the incredible bond a human can have with their pet, and how a simple act of empathy, an instinct to help, could ripple out into such extraordinary consequences. This unexpected turn of events forced me to reflect deeply. It wasn't just about saving Chief. It was about the profound connection that can form between strangers through a shared moment of vulnerability and kindness. It taught me that sometimes the greatest rewards come not from seeking them, but from simply doing the right thing, from listening to that small, insistent voice of conscience. It felt like a lesson in the powerful, unseen currents of human compassion. The peace and beauty of the Keys allowed me to truly decompress, to shed the everyday stresses of life, and to appreciate the simple joy of being present. On my last evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in fiery colors, I found a small, elegant card and a pen in the villa. I wrote Richard a heartfelt note expressing my deepest thanks, not just for the incredibly luxurious stay, but for the profound experience, for trusting me with his beloved Chief, and for the powerful reminder of the goodness that exists in the vast world. It was a sincere expression of gratitude for a gift far beyond monetary value, a gift of connection, perspective, and genuine human kindness. Leaving the resort the next morning, I carried with me not just memories of pristine beaches, gourmet meals, and unparalleled comfort, but something far more valuable. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, a deeper appreciation for the interconnectedness of people, and a profound understanding of how even a small act of kindness can lead to unexpected, life-altering rewards. My vacation had transformed from a simple getaway into a profound journey of self-discovery and genuine human connection, all because I chose to listen to a distant cry and act on instinct. It was a story I would tell for years to come. The time I saved a dog and found myself, given the keys to paradise,